Hello and welcome to the Perpetual Traffic podcast. Why don't I actually... I feel like I'm sitting like this. Should we be sitting like this? Yeah, I should be sitting like this.
I feel like this is the cover of
This is it.
the Sunshine movie with Bill Murray.
Actually, we should do the intro with you, your head on my shoulder. Hello and welcome to the Perpetual Traffic podcast. This is your host, Ralph Burns, founder and CEO of Tier 11. And this is...
Lauren E. Petrullo, founder of Mongoose Media.
We are live today. Well, we're not live. Yeah, is that really you? Wait a second. That is you. You're really actually there. So we're in Orlando in the Bohemian, what do you call this place? The Grand Boho?
Yeah.
Yeah.
O-Town specific.
Yeah, Old Town specific. Cool area of Orlando, which I'd never really been to before. I thought Orlando was basically Walt Disney World and like the overpriced Hilton that we stayed at, which I'm still pissed because they lost like half my shit through their dry cleaning service. But anyway, yeah, this place is much better, much nicer location. Not much of a Disney fan myself, but I know you used to work for them, so I'm try not to insult you.
There are a lot of pros and cons with Disney. At a company the size, the largest single source employer in North America, you can't love everything.
Yeah, can't love everything. Well, you know, it was cool. Yesterday it was was it LGBTQ or was it just Pride?
Pride.
It was Pride Day.
Pride.
Here in Orlando.
Yeah.
And Disney had a huge contingent.
Yes.
Like, massive.
Yeah. Oh, I should have brought them. During the parade, they gave out legit swag. Like,
Yeah.
I got a Wish stuffed animal, a pretty cool keychain.
Yeah.
Their swag, their presence.
Their swag was really good.
They came out with Pride.
You got some JetBlue Ray-Bans, which really weren't Ray-Bans.
Yeah, but they looked good.
They looked good.
Yeah.
They
And
did.
a fanny pack.
Fanny pack. Yep. Did you put that thingy like the?
It is. It's
that
in my
spinny
front yard.
thing, like on the front, in the
Yeah.
front yard. Yeah,
A
it's like a
wind
wind. What's it called? A wind flower.
Yes.
Yeah. So we did that yesterday. We were supposed to record shows, but we didn't. So here we are today.
Instead of recording shows, we documented you digesting balls.
Yes. Those balls were fabulous, by the way.
Swallowed them whole.
Let's swallow them all. What were they last night? Dinner?
Yeah.
What were they called?
Octopus balls.
Octopus balls.
Takoyaki.
So, yeah. So if you're in Orlando, go to what restaurant?
Ginya.
Ginya. Have the octopus balls. The most amazing balls I've ever had. So, all right. Well, today we're going to get into, because you're a Perpetual Traffic listener, we figured we both are members, you're maybe former members, I might be a former member too, of these high-priced masterminds. We always talk about masterminds and how great they are to get together with colleagues, meet new people, obviously there for business. Mm-hmm. I do a fair amount of speaking in a lot of these, which is cool, as do you. You actually are one of the faculty, I think, of what the M3. Mm-hmm. Is that still around? Is M3?
Now they've transitioned to being elite.
Oh, okay.
Elite coaching, so they've done a bit of a rebranding.
A rebrand there.
Yeah,
Ryan
yeah.
Dice doing a little rebranding. Mm-hmm. So the one that I was at was the Driven Mastermind in Cancun,
with the least funny
co-host ever on Perpetual Traffic, Qasim Aslam. And we were supposed to record on a yacht because the last day, it's like you do sessions in the morning, mm-hmm. and then the afternoon you just sort of goof off and just hang out. Actually, we had hot tub hot seats.
Hot tub hot seats?
Hot tub hot seats, which were really cool, actually.
Tell me this is a mastermind with mostly men without telling me it's a mastermind with mostly men.
It's like 50-50, male-female. Yeah, it's a good mix. And a lot of very cool businesses, I would say, mostly in like the 7-figure range. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's all about marketing. Really, in most cases. I mean, one of the questions that I have on it is that a lot of people there are the doers, and they need to actually hire the staff so that they're no longer the doers.
Yeah.
And I've met some people in there where I've had long conversations with them. Like, you shouldn't be doing all the stuff that you're doing. You should actually have somebody who does it.
Wow, this sounds like a conversation yesterday. That's all over that window.
It's all over on that window right there. We were doing a deep analysis of Lauren's business. Anyway, I think Driven is a great mastermind. Yes, Qasim is one of the, the founding members?
Owners.
Owners.
The co-owners.
Yeah.
One of the founders.
So it's him, Perry Belcher and Jason Fladlien. I would say Perry Belcher, love him or hate him, one of the smartest marketers, but he does regurgitate a lot of stuff from other people, but he puts his own spin on it.
Yeah.
That was sort of your criticism, but I don't even know if he listens to the show. If he does, I love Perry. I think Perry's fantastic. I followed him for years and years. One of the first info products I ever bought was from Perry Belcher.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a copywriting course. I told him that. I was like, did I ever tell you this? He's like, are you kidding me? And then the upsell was an info product called Perpetual Traffic.
No way.
Serious.
Oh, sounds like we need to do an immediate rebranding.
So he spoke, and then Jason Fladlien, if you're not familiar with who he is, we'll leave links in the show notes for all these guys.
Get his book. If you're in the webinar space, his book is one of the best that
it really is. It's one of the best
super foundational to growing your brand with webinars.
Yeah, he's a super cool guy. I mean, Hermosi credits him with a lot of his success early on. Yeah, I mean, really good group. And then Costum talked. So, it's a little bit of a letdown. But no, actually, no, we'll talk about that in a second. Your mastermind that you were at just recently, not just this past week, but that was where?
Well, I was in Faro, Portugal.
Oh, okay.
Or where was I this past week?
No. The last mastermind, when you were at your mastermind.
Yeah, I was in Portugal. Okay. We were in Faro. We were at the founder's house. Beautiful home. High up. Absolutely stunning views of the city. There was a private island. I mean, this looked like a resort. There's a helicopter pad at this man's house. Yes.
Is this Ollie Bilson, by any chance?
Yes. His home has incredible sound system throughout. It was really nice. Like, we were there from breakfast through dinner. It was 3 full days. I was only able to stay for 2. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no. That was the last mastermind event I attended. Learned a lot, tons. You just went to Driven. Yeah. We're getting to swap notes now.
I know. So what did you learn at that one?
Okay. Charlie Hutton was a guest speaker.
By the way, like, these masterminds, it's like $30,000 to join Driven.
Mine's $55,000.
So this is like $85,000 worth of inside stuff that you'll probably see like at the next like traffic and conversion summit. But the point is like you go to these things, you get a bunch, you make a lot of connections, meet a lot of people, and you get one-on-one tactics, tips, strategies. So what are some of the ones that you picked up?
So Charlie Hutton, he's the founder of One Man Empire. Really smart dude. I honestly, my humor skews raunchy.
Raunchy, to say the least.
And I felt like I met my comedic parody.
Your raunchy cousin?
Oh my gosh. I felt so seen and so heard. He's super smart, really talented copywriter. And he's got a mastermind where he helps men in their 40s in the UK that want to get to 7-figure a year or 7-figure months. Mm-hmm. And he shared out a lot of what's working now. And a huge takeaway that we've implemented and found to be true, we're using mid-journey AI-generated images on LinkedIn that is contrary to everything else you're expecting to work on LinkedIn. So this is specifically for ads. He's been using the same ad for 2 years. He just swaps out the creative itself every 2 weeks. So you can overcome creative fatigue and you're having this audience see the same stuff. But what he's using is mid-journey. He's using an AI tool to generate graphics that are poignant and speaking to the emotion that someone's experiencing, the frustration that they have. Mm-hmm. So some of his best performing ads were exhausted men on the toilet, frustrated because they're overwhelmed. And why that has worked so well for him on LinkedIn and which we've started to see work well is also from implementing, because we have to, check. Does it work well for him only, or is it carryable, transferable for our clients? Yeah. And those images work so well because they stand out. On LinkedIn, it's like, forgive me for using this word, but it's a circle jerk of congratulations. Oh my gosh, I just got this new job. Look at me.
Humble brags.
I'm so good at life.
Right.
And it's always positive posts, moving in the right direction. It often feels like mental masturbation and stuff that isn't actually interesting and consuming. So when you see an image that speaks to the depths of what you're really feeling inside, it's helped draw your audience to your offer. So that was a really good takeaway.
So mid-journey images and then lots of iterations.
Lots of iterations, and the importance is how might we show empathy and emotion in your images. And, if you have an AI-generated image, you can take that same prompt and then create variations. So you can cycle in new creative and overcome creative fatigue to present yourself and bring awareness to your target audience, especially when you have a B2B offer like a mastermind for business owners that are looking to scale and grow their business.
Got it. And it's Charlie, what was his last name? Hutton.
Hutton.
Okay.
And what I thought was cool about the images that he showed that had been working, it's showing what someone feels like in the moment, but then he was also doing a lot with face swap. So inside Midjourney, you can add this app for face swap. So he would show people of like where he wants to be in the lifestyle. So pictures of him behind a private jet. He just took another picture and swapped his face. And this gentleman has a good body, but like the pictures from the AI were like Chris Hemsworth.
Right.
Superman style bodies.
Thor.
Yeah. Right? Henry Cavill. And so then it just becomes a little funny because those that know him are like, oh, hey, like you've been working out. But it's presenting the lifestyle, the aspirational side, as well as conveying the emotions. And all using AI because everyone else is not. So it's like video ads 2 years ago.
Yeah. So it's something that stands out immediately. Yeah. Does he use it as like a caricature?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Or the face swap ones have more realism to it because it's him. But the character level, like he's had ones where people are like walking into the grave because they feel like their business is the death of them. And so again, if you think about how interruptive marketing typically works, like how you stand out is doing what everyone else isn't doing. And right now, a lot of people are doing lifestyle photo shoots or videos. That's easy. Doing AI mid-journey images that are conveying emotion isn't. So that's like a mechanism that's leaning into successful conversions right now for them.
Yeah.
For him, and then what we've applied for some of our clients.
I think that's a really good lesson there. Doing what other people aren't doing.
Go left when everyone else is going right.
Yeah, just because you see everybody doing it that way. It's like I remember when, just use Hormozy as another example of that. As soon as like we started seeing
subtitles,
his shorts, like then everybody started doing them, like Hormozy style shorts, and now he's not doing them anymore. You got to zig with everybody else's zagging, especially, which leads to another conversation, which we'll have a little bit later, about sort of being a leader in the space. What else did you figure out there? What else did you find out and learn?
Another thing I really liked was just talking about sleep hygiene and like your own mental gym and mental fitness.
Totally.
Small things like that, whereas it's not marketing focused, it's not business focused and growth. It is personal development focused. And I think a lot of the value out of these masterminds is one, you're surrounded by people who have exited 9-figure brands sometimes. And so you can see where they're at now and the lessons that they learned and get that wisdom imparted onto you earlier in your entrepreneurial journey. So a lot of it was like, you have to have good sleep hygiene. Small, silly things is like taking 2 showers a day, having it cool, having your last meal by 7:30.
Taking 2 showers a day.
Yeah, that's what he said. And then we talked about like optimizing your temperature. So I keep my home hot. Like my house is at 79 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh my God.
I am a comfortable salamander. That is ridiculous. That's the year we went to the moon. Why is your temperature thermometer at 69? Like I have high knee socks on. These are winter socks that I'm wearing.
Because 69 is the optimal temperature from what I've read for sleeping.
So LeBron James says 68. And 68. That was discussed and I was like, oh, for who?
So, I added 1 degree just because I don't want to quote LeBron James, but 68, 69 is perfect. Like I've had it on 68, 69 ever since I got here.
Wow.
But I run hot anyway.
Yeah.
I think I'm from the Northeast. You live in this place.
Last night we were out. We were walking, you, me, and Robbie, and I was legit shivering. And you and Robbie were like, why are you so cold? I was like, I have pants and a t-shirt on. It was
71 degrees and she was cold.
No, it was 72 degrees and it felt like 67.
All right. So it was 72. But that's like perfect temperature.
There's someone that's listening to this saying I'm ridiculous. I was born and raised in the city of Chicago. I have become allergic to the cold. I just spent last week in Montreal, Canada, and I'm embracing cold in a bitter environment. Like, I'm surprised how well I'm functioning in 69 degrees.
Because you were in Montreal last week.
Yeah, I know.
That's why. So I'm actually just, if it was any warmer than that, you'd be uncomfortable because you just came back, your blood thickened. I don't even know if that happens. It's because your blood is thicker if you're living like the Northeast or the North or whatever. That's a bunch of bullshit, I think.
Okay. Well, that makes me think then, blood is thicker than water. So does that mean you don't have good family relations the closer you get to the equator?
It means you're just, not hydrated enough. I think that's really what it means.
I drink a lot of water.
Yeah, me too. 64 to 72 ounces a day.
I was born with one kidney, so I'm chugging water like it's a profession.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
See, all these things, we've never known about Lauren E. Petrullo. We found out your middle name just, a couple of months ago.
Uh-huh.
Now we know you have one kidney. My God, there's all kinds of stuff. All right, so sleep hygiene.
Yep.
That's
monitoring
good.
it is really important. So you just need to know if you, obviously Ring It and Aura Rings are really popular. Having smart technology that can let you be aware of where you are. You don't have to do this, but tracking your cycle is a really important thing for women.
I don't have a cycle.
You have a cycle?
I don't.
I was like,
but
something we're learning about Ralph.
No, Jen thinks that all men have cycles too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a truth to that. I mean,
I'm a Gemini, so I'm one or the other. I'm introvert, extrovert. It's you never know what you're gonna get.
I do make the joke and say are you on your period to my husband whenever he's moody?
Is he? Yeah. See, that goes back to Jen's theory that every man does have a cycle.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, I used to have a Whoop, not the Aura Ring.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone now has an Aura Ring. And I found that the HRV setting, which is your heart rate variability, was just annoying. And I actually hated it because some days I felt good and then I'd look at my Whoop and I'm on the way to the gym and I'll be I have a low score and then I would have a crappy workout as a result of that.
Should be whoop, whoop, let's do better. Instead you're whoop, whoop.
And it was just, I don't know. One of my family members on my wife's side works there. I just don't think it's that great of a technology.
Okay.
They have a lot to learn. But the Aura Rings are cool. I actually do like those. My COO has it. And it's easy to recharge. My Whoop always stopped charging. It ran out of battery constantly. Yeah, it's a pain in the butt. Anyway.
So Whoop was a fluke. But the idea of smart technology.
The idea of smart technology, yes.
To bring data into your life to help you, what's the word? Address the day. No, there's a word. Oh my gosh.
Assess the day?
Yes, but accommodate to where you are.
Oh, knowing when you should rest and when you should push it.
Or if you got a fair amount of sleep, maybe you need to pencil in a nap.
Right.
Or you need to be more strategic later when you go to bed so that you can turn your fair to great.
Right.
So
it's true. Or you could just track your sleep with Sleep Cycle or one of those apps. I use Sleep Cycle app, which is great. It's a free version.
Yeah. All those pieces come together to let you know about your own personal body's maintenance because you are often, as the founder or a leader in your company, the one that everyone else looks to. And if you run out of energy or if you can't be your own optimized self, the opportunity cost is way too big for entrepreneurs. And a lot of what I've been learning from the rooms that we get access to because of high ticket entry fees has been that entrepreneurs that made it deprioritize this and cannot stop emphasizing it because the delta of when they started optimizing their own personal life, their own personal body, dramatically shifted their progression towards what they actually wanted to achieve. So it's not I know a lot of people hard work pays out and just keep going, but you can experience burnout and there's a different state of intelligence and functionality and efficiency when your body is primed for that. So we talked about different supplements to take, different ways to maintain who you are, where you are, so you can get to where you want to go.
I am a huge believer in all of that. I think sleep, for years, it was, and I've said this many times on the show, it's like I just got like 4 or 5 or 6 hours of sleep a night because I was building this whole thing.
Yeah.
But I was also working in the corporate world too, and I would do this at night, and then I would wake up and we had like young kids, and the joke was the internet never sleeps and neither does dad.
Yeah.
But that took its toll. I started having some health issues like 3, 4, 5 years ago, like high blood pressure, all this sort of crap. So now I reprioritize all of that. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I got the Whoop to measure it, but I just find prioritizing sleep and a regular bedtime. And like last night, like I'm in a hotel, I got 8 hours of sleep.
Well done.
Which was like fabulous. So I woke up today, I was like, I felt great. But if I'm like 7, 8 hours, anything less than that for me now is just, I'm suboptimal the whole day.
Yeah.
And I'm dragging ass, and I do take time for a nap if I need to, and I prioritize my health because I realize so much of that and time away from work, which is thinking time, which we've talked a lot about on this show, maybe even that previous co-host, I don't know what his name was, name with a K. But anyway,
Kasim Council.
And you look at like the biggest thinkers of our time right now, like Bill Gates, for example, spends most of his time reading and thinking.
Yeah, he's weak in the woods.
But he's also, sitting on billions of dollars. So it's a whole different thing. So you have to balance it all. But take a page from his book, or the fact that he is reading and spending time thinking about stuff as owners, as VPs and directors of marketing. Yeah, you should be doing your work, but you should also be thinking big picture. Take a step back.
You have to.
And I do think like these types of masterminds force you to do that.
And it's uncomfortable because you can read this and you talk about it, but if you're just reading and not acting on it, and if you're not hearing from other people who are saying, this is the health issues I went through, or, when I'm down, my whole team looks to me and then they now get to tolerate a different level of productivity because I've set the tone.
Yeah.
And so that kind of stuff, you're in these rooms, you have to have these conversations, and they're having them to your face, where you're not allowed to make excuses.
No, you've got to be at peak form. Anything else before I go to my list?
Those are definitely the two biggest ones. I mean, I had like 27 pages of notes from different books that they're always recommending different books at these things. What are you reading over the last quarter?
Yeah.
More examples of what's working now. What was nice about this most recent one is it became so mastermind focused. So there was not the here's a presentation, here's a presentation, here's a presentation, the way some have been, where it's so conference centric, where it was just we all went around the room and it's like, what's really important for us to address right now? And like mine was all about, pricing appropriately and my like weirdness around money, because I've told you before, like I get super paranoid when it comes to money and like coming over those money mindset things, which maybe that's true for some, not all. And then it becomes a place that we pivot as parts of the conversation. So that was great because you got to hear what everyone else is going through with their focuses.
Were you like in a hot seat or something like that?
A little bit. The conversation ended up shifting to someone else in that hot seat, even though I was the one that presented it. But I was okay with that because I'm like super weird and uncomfortable when it comes to talking about
But
money.
you learned through the other person who was talking about it. That's the cool thing about these masterminds. Yeah. There might be somebody who's on stage, or you might not be on stage, you might not be in the hot seat, but chances are there's some part of whatever their problem is that you can apply to yourself.
Yeah. And others come in because like there were several others in the room that heard me and like, I see where you're at. Let me tell you specifically. Like Jeff Sauer partners with Chris Mercer. Yep. Like he's like, oh, Lauren, I've been exactly where you are. I know exactly how you're feeling. Here are some resources. And then it's just, you don't have to guess anymore.
And then plus you don't feel like you're on an island, like I'm the only person who has this mental block or whatever it is.
For sure.
These things are super expensive. Like let's not kid ourselves here. Yeah. But like when I was first starting out, I joined BNI, Business Networking International. That's how I got like some of my first clients. Yeah. And that was, I think, a couple $100 a year. Okay. And it was 20 business owners in a local area. We all shot the shit about like our common business problems. And then it was like a referral network. So you don't have to spend like it's Next Level Mastermind? Is that what it is?
Next Level Growth, Next Level Business.
All right. So you don't have to spend that kind of money. Like if you want to go to that level or go to like Driven or any of the ones that like Ryan Dice does with his group. There's tons of them. Those are just the ones that we're most familiar with. But the point is like you're going to meet people there, and all of a sudden you're going to realize like I'm not alone in the challenges that I'm having right now. Because if you're a business owner or you're a director of a department or some sort of C-level executive, you're having problems that only you know about. And you might feel like you're the only person in the world that has them, when in fact they're so common. You're just not hanging around with the right people that have the same issues.
Or like, where do you share it out? In a world where people are looking at you.
Right.
So your friends,
can't tell
your family,
people.
You can't tell your staff members, oh, hey, I'm struggling with this. You can't, because if you break, they break.
Yeah.
And if you tell your family or your friends, then they have this new shift of perspective about who you are and where you are.
And plus, they'll never really understand unless they're business owners themselves.
That's fair. W-2 friends are in the U.S. If you're a W-2 employee, you are working for someone else.
Right.
So when I created my own business, I found that a lot of my W-2 friends and I became in different circles, and we just don't hang out as much as we do. Love them to pieces. I just remember moments where I would be expressing concern about an issue and seeking out help and guidance, and was met with, but you own your own business. Like, all right, cool. I can't have this conversation anymore, which is fine.
Yeah, you're lucky. You figured it out. Like it's different.
Yeah.
Like it's never easy.
No. Well, I wouldn't say it's never easy. I would just say like it's the way I like even describe when we interview people. I'm like, work isn't always fun, but it doesn't always have to be boring.
Yeah.
And there's definitely really great highs and really great lows.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be so challenging. Like if you don't have the endurance, it's hard to be a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
It won't work out. What did you so at your mastermind, you talked about, like, I think Perry told you like 6% of the world are leaders or something like that.
Yeah, that was one of the talks. He did a talk called Don't Be Boring, which was really, really good.
Was it boring?
It was not boring.
Okay, phew.
He's not a boring individual.
Not at all.
So he definitely stands out. I mean, he's like if you don't know who he is, I mean, he's
larger than life.
He's a larger than life figure. He's a little raunchy.
Yeah.
Which turns some people off. A little inappropriate.
Polarizing.
Yeah. So like the first day, like I go out to the pool and I see him. He's like, "Hey, Bernsey, what's going on?" He has a hat on that looks like a Titleist hat, but it actually has
like the golfing hat.
Yeah.
Okay.
But instead of Titleist, it has the other word that begins with T.
Titty?
Yeah.
So his hat just says
his hat
titty?
said that. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So it's like, that's Perry.
Okay.
But he's totally inappropriate.
So he's like trying to be like, I'm a boob?
I don't know. He was just like, I love this hat, man. It's my favorite hat.
All right.
But then, we had a great conversation about like Rory Sutherland or something like that. And, but anyway, like people like him or they love him or they hate him. Okay. And I think that was the part of his talk which I really did like. He talked about charismatic people and how they repel but also attract. Mm-hmm. And I think we've all sort of known that. But it's great to sort of see it because we should do a show on this specifically. I think we will actually do a show on this. So he gave some examples like, if you watch Shark Tank, who's the person that you really want to get their opinion from if you watch Shark Tank?
Oh, come on. It's Mr. Wonderful.
It's Mr. Wonderful, right?
Yeah.
So I don't watch American Idol. But whenever I do, I want to know whose opinion. Simon Cowell.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Because it's his opinion. Not that the other opinions don't matter, but it's become so polarizing that if you got his nod of approval.
Yeah, like he's the toughest one.
Yeah.
If Mr. Wonderful wants to invest in your business and actually gives you some sort of like good deal, like he's sort of notorious for.
Can he give a good deal?
He's very one-sided. It's like.
I was like, can we do a quick shout out? Yeah. My friend, Megan Klein, she just was on Shark Tank like 2 days ago with her non-alcoholic brand Little Saints. Okay. She's based in Miami, and her experience was amazing. She didn't take the deal, but I was like, oh, you're talking about Shark Tank? And I'm like, hi, Megan. Yeah. If you don't know Little Saints, it's a really good non-alcoholic brand alternative. We talked about how I don't drink, so.
That's good. Little
very
Saints.
Big fan.
There you go, a little shout out there for you. So anyway, I guess we'll have to find out. Did she got a deal?
She turned down.
She turned down a deal.
She said no.
Okay, which is very common. But,
you know what's more even common is that people will say yes on the show and then change in the back because you see 10 minutes of a 45-minute to an hour and a half pitch.
Right.
And then you have to do the due diligence afterwards because what you're saying and what is true has to be so closely aligned at those type of investments.
And I've known people that have been on that show. There's also behind the curtain, behind the stage, is a bunch of other private equity, venture capital people that might actually take you up on your offer in case none of the actual sharks.
Oh, how interesting.
Yeah, so that's a whole other thing. I know 2 people that have been on there. They've actually struck deals like off camera with those people. So anyway, I thought that was really kind of cool. But anyway, so Mr. Wonderful, like he's a charismatic person. He's polarizing.
Yes.
You know, he's contrarian. He has an opinion. He states it emphatically. You know, one of the things that he said, they possess something the public could never emulate alone.
Oh, that's good.
They're the opposite of safe. So he was talking about this is like you can go down sort of this route of like grandiosity and charisma. When does it sort of turn into narcissism? And that's where I think, you know, for me, you got to draw that line, and we can talk about this. But anyway, the point is he says, you know, that it was very interesting because public persona. I'm also reading a book, Paul McCartney's book. It's like I think there's like 3 versions of it. But anyway, he calls himself 2 things. He's a Gemini like I am. He's like he calls him he, and then me. It's like his external personality, and then there's who he is actually when he's in private. And they're not the same person.
Okay.
And it goes through the book, and it was exactly what I was reading, and then he had this talk, and I thought it was actually really, really cool. So that was, I think, cool. The thing that you were asking about is that 6.2% of people, I don't know where you got this statistic. We should probably Google this just to make sure and fact check it.
Right now.
But 6.2% of people have narcissistic tendencies.
Oh, wait a second. Only 6.2% of people. That's not what I thought the statistic was. I thought they were leaders.
Leaders.
Wait, I think 90% of the population has narcissistic tendencies.
The other part, whatever that 6.2% was, he said it so fast and I wrote it down. It might have been like narcissistic leaders. But the other one is 90% of people display codependent tendencies.
Yeah.
So, which I actually agree with. So,
okay.
All right, what's
AI
the stat?
overview from Google.
Here
It is estimated that as much as 6.2% of the U.S. population has narcissistic personality disorder.
Oh.
And approximately 50 to 75% of those are male.
Oh, makes sense.
Okay, so they're not... Whoa.
Trump, Musk, like the list goes on. Tony Stark. Yeah.
They were bringing in Marvel characters now?
But they're polarizing figures that people are drawn to, and it made me all of a sudden make sense, like why Trump is actually might win the presidency again. But anyway, let's leave politics out of this one. The point is like he's definitely in the 6.2% for sure. The other part is that 90% of people are codependent. So it's like that statistic leads itself to you have to take a stand. Okay. And that's what he was sort of talking about, like not being bored.
Well, if you took a stand right now, people would be like, oh, how do we film our podcast? Sorry, that was so really funny because we talked about, they don't know if we're wearing pants or not.
We're not, actually. We're naked from the waist down.
Wait. That's not true. Hold on. Wait. That's 100% not true. But I will say that.
Jen would be like, you're in a hotel room with Lauren half naked? What?
Yesterday during the Pride Parade, they were like, oh, is this your wife?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Very cute couple. Yeah. It's like, who's that? Who's that young little blonde you got on your arm there? Anyway, so that was...
Take a stand.
So take a stand. So I thought that was super interesting. I would like to do a lot more on that because you and I think, really did jive with this to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Because I think it's going to craft... I think a lot of like our social stuff, a lot of your ads, a lot of the stuff that we're doing on Tier 11. So we'll lean into that in another show. Here, Jason Fladlin, who, by the way, if you don't have his book, get his book. And I forget the name of his book. What the hell's the name of his book? Kevin.
Hold on.
Crap, where the hell is it?
Oh, shoot. It looked up Jason Nash. I need to stop looking up comedians. Jason Fladlin. Webinar Seekers, I thought. Hold on.
Webinars? No.
One to many.
One to many.
Okay. Kevin.
All right, Kevin.
But I just want to like make my boob not glow green.
Okay.
Okay.
You good?
Yeah.
You good on the boob?
Still glowing, but
Got
now
it.
inside. Like a jack-o'-lantern.
Well, it's that time of year. The other speaker was, I'll mention the third speaker in just a minute, was Jason Fladlin. So
Yeah.
Jason Fladlin is one of those guys who, I followed for years. I actually did an in-person session with him on Facebook ads, if you can believe that, back in like 2014, 2015.
No way.
Yeah, he wanted to learn how to do Facebook ads. It was crazy. Like one day, I did it with Ollie, actually.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Small world.
Joe Polish. Me, Ollie, Joe Polish, and Jason Fladlin. And, oh, crap, I forget who else was there. But anyway, there was a bunch of other, like...
If you're listening and you were in that room, make fun of Ralph for forgetting you. How dare he?
Yeah. He probably forget he was an older guy. Anyway, this is, I thought, what was really... He, first off, I think, is just one of those guys, when he says something, it's like I write down the quotes.
Okay.
And he said something about being able to have influence from stage, but also how do you create your own brand and how do you connect with individuals? And he was talking about like how to attract people to the ideal size for like a room to sell in.
Okay.
Like if you do selling from stage, he said, one of the things he said, how many people will come is based upon how many other people will come. Like little things like that. Quantity is inversely related to quality. He was talking about lead generation. And not
I agree with that.
Yes.
1,500%.
Yep. And he said that if you want to sell, if you're doing any sort of selling from the stage or doing live events, he said, don't go for larger groups. The ideal size to make the most amount of money, guess how much? How many people in the audience? I'm going to cover up the answer here.
I was like, I think I saw it, but Ollie would say 30, 50 max.
Too small. Courtney.
That's too small?
Too small.
Oh, I thought I saw the number 20 on your sheet.
20 people in a room. Like he did give an example of 20 people in a room that closed a $250,000 mastermind.
Okay.
So that was kind of cool.
So his ideal room, but speaking from stage, like that's a small intimate item. Oh, that's double what I would have guessed.
200.
Okay.
He said 200 because it's ideal because the room is small enough for you to be able to make a connection, but it's large enough for you to have a level of quantity as long as the quality is there.
So then my follow-up is, that's assuming an hour, 45 minutes to an hour?
Yeah. It's about an hour, 4 hour. Well, his webinars in a lot of cases are like 3 hours long.
Because his book, One to Many, is where he goes into this a lot. So I wonder if his One to Many should become 1 to 200.
1 to 200. Well, 1 to Many it's an easier title, I think.
For sure.
Yeah. So anyway, so get his book. So he's just a super sharp guy. And one of the things that I think we all know, you and I know this, we're doing it right now, as a matter of fact. If people are still actually watching. Long form, niched, conversational formats.
Okay.
Produce the highest quality leads. That is true. I will 100% back that up. Since you started working at Perpetual Traffic. Since you started working here, how many leads have you gotten? You say you get a couple of leads every show.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What are we doing? It's long-form conversational format. Jason Fladlin has just sort of said, like, the basics. It's like, all right, that's the reason why we stopped doing, if you noticed, for a PT listener, we stopped doing shorts and mids videos. We only do 2 long-form videos a week, and we do this podcast. And then we blast it out, because Jason is correct. So
I would think, though, the long-form content, conversational, that's an additional layer because someone feels like they're as if they're having the conversation. Like, so anyone that's listening, it's like you're here in the room with us, I hope. Yeah. That's what it feels like for you. But in the conversational
leads into the next speaker, which I have a statistic on that. But go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just thinking of like the long form. Like, again, I keep going back to the Tom Breeze episode. For me, that's going to be top 3 episodes of the year that I've had the chance to be a part of.
Best hair, I think. Male hair.
Yeah. Strikingly handsome.
Your hair is pretty good.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah. I woke up like this. Like, legit, I didn't do anything. This is just what happens with curly hair. But he had talked about how he shifts the VSL, what previously was gated content, bringing that ahead in the YouTube ads.
So true.
Because the more you consume, I firmly believe.
Why gated?
Well, because you think you want to lead. That's where I go back to the quote of quality versus quantity are conversely related. I agree with that so much because you should not just let everyone into your ecosystem. Like when I won That Work It Smart, all I talked about is like stop letting everyone in. You're paying for them to be in your email service provider. Like what a waste of time. So take that gated component and ask what you actually want, which is for them to book a call. So bringing that quality content, he said that was working so much better on YouTube because YouTube, especially with TV, they're consuming longer content. Yeah. So they're here for it. You don't have to gatekeep because if you're going to gatekeep,
that's lean back content. Yeah.
Oh, wait, did you just make that word up?
Meta calls it that.
Oh.
It's lean back, lean in, lean back.
Okay.
Lean back because you're gonna watch like an hour video.
Oh.
Yeah. How about that?
All right.
Let's hope people are still leaning back watching this.
No, they're like leaning in because they're like, why is this like green light glowing? Yeah. I look like a human jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah, she ate some radioactive octopus balls yesterday. That was it.
That is the name of this episode. Radioactive octopus balls.
Radioactive octopus balls. I'm writing that down as a title for today's show, just to make sure. Writing that down. All right, so quality is inversely related to quality. And the last thing he talked about is, well, obviously his book, One to Many. Mm-hmm. He's super interesting stats on this, too. He's like, get a book. Like, everyone should write a book.
You wrote a book.
I wrote a book. It's not directly related to this show. But anyway, I do have a book. That's true. You can Google my book, Google my name, Virtual Boss. But he's like, the book is the best lead magnet. And I thought this was interesting. 65% of people will never read it.
That seems like a low number.
That's what he said. 50% of those 35% that do read it only make it through the first chapter.
I believe that.
I believe that. And so 17.5% will read your book out of people who actually, like less than 20%, like less than 1 in 5 actually read it cover to cover.
I still feel like that's a very high number. I'm just thinking, you and I know a lot of authors. Yeah. Most of our friends are authors.
Sure, we've got a lot of authors on this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of authors. So we've been really fortunate because we've had a lot of authors like Bob Berg and Dr. Cialdini recently. Yep. Their careers are from their books. Like books don't always make you money in sales, but they do make you money in terms of the clothes and the services you sell afterwards.
Absolutely.
But because you and I live in this bubble where a large majority of the people we know already have books, mm-hmm. they give those books out. Yeah. And so I have to just think about outside of my frame of influence. I have received more books from my friends that I just haven't had a chance to get through. Yeah. So I'm thinking that 65%,
But you didn't buy them.
Okay.
You were given them.
Yes. Okay.
That's the key.
Yes.
He's like, your call to action should be go to Amazon to get my book. Okay. Not go to jasonfladlingsbook.com because you're not there to make money on the book. You're there to sell the book because the book is a credibility vehicle, knowing full well that 65% of people who buy it, so 65% who buy, not are given. I have a stack of books I've been given from my friends.
Yeah, that's
I have not read.
It's hard because I'm happy to have it sit on my
yay!
shelf. But this is not necessarily a topic I'm interested in at the moment.
Right. But I'll get to it at some point. Maybe. So it's in a stack somewhere in my house. The point is he's like, that is the key. That is your credibility builder. And I think, if you look at the trend right now on social, and obviously we run digital marketing advertising agencies, it's like a lot of it is short form. Yeah. Which gets the attention, but that's like the sampler for the long
The trailer for
content.
The movie.
That's for the trailer for the movie.
Right.
Exactly.
And then that's where you zig when you can zag. Like a lot of people know that short form, like on Meta, what's working now are reels. But what's interesting is October 15th, Meta increased the length of a reel to be 3 minutes. So I'm really curious to see will that shift consumer behavior? Is it adapting to already shifted consumer behavior? Because shorts on YouTube are not 3 minutes. TikToks are not 3 minutes.
No.
So in that, is there a consumer behavior shift? Is Meta leading the charge for once? or are they trying to create a new lead, or are they adapting to what they're already seeing behaviors? But it's just in all that kind of stuff, if you're zigging while everyone else is zagging, everyone else is going for short form. I can't even tell you how many. I guess at least once a week. I should make this a client bingo card for my team for the month of November.
Yeah.
Clients every single week are like, okay, it needs to be 60 seconds, right? I'm like, no, I need your ad, the video to be as long as it needs to be in the shortest amount of time possible.
Right.
People have become ingrained knowing that 59 seconds, and they cut it short there. So I wonder, like, if this is an opportunity, again, for people to zig when everyone else zags.
Yeah, I think going back to long-form content, or just having long-form content is absolutely the key. I mean, I do think you need to have a mix. I mean, I do. There's a reason why there's trailers to movies.
Oh, yeah.
But that's a really interesting point. Is the attention span of Americans now suddenly going from, 60 to 90 seconds to 3 minutes?
Well, think about Gen Alpha. Gen Alpha has been growing up with YouTube, and they're watching 20-minute shows on YouTube. So they were like, oh, it's like longs but shorter kind of thing. I remember hearing some 7-year-old say something, and I was dying about how it was said. But that would just be interesting if there's an emerging trend. And there's one other thing that I thought was really funny and interesting, but it's gone. So
that's all right. Well, we'll talk about the last guy who spoke, and this is the last because it is the last. Because he got sick on the yacht and we couldn't record. Anyway,
you were sick of him, or he got sick?
I was a little bit sick of it. I think he was a little bit sick of me too. But anyway, no, it was 4 days in Cancun. But he did a thing on podcasting. Oddly enough, he used to be the co-host of the show. Did you know that? You didn't know that? This guy Qasim.
I've never heard of him
Qasim
before.
Muslim. Yep.
He sounds like a bald, short guy.
He is. Very short, 5'2", no hair, white, American, lives in Wisconsin.
He's half white?
Yep. He's half white.
He is.
He is. That's right, he is. Anyway, he actually talked about podcasting, which we talk about long-form content. If you've been watching this show, it's now it's almost an hour. So this is about
17 minutes
of just babbling. So maybe it's just
bad
only
jokes,
45.
blackmail for our producer.
Yeah, Kevin, thank you very much for leaving all of that out.
Appreciate you.
He said this, talking about podcasts, 80% of podcast listeners listen to the entire podcast.
Whoa.
Which I didn't know. I haven't fact-checked it either, because he is prone to hyperbole.
Hold on. Let me bring it up.
This is the great thing about being live in person. She can Google this stuff right off the bat. But I thought this was super interesting, and because it's Qasim, we have to fact-check it. 47% of the U.S. listens to podcasts.
That doesn't sound right.
All right. So
over what age? Okay, hold on. Again, I'm using
we're
Google AI.
We're fact-checking on the spot.
AI overview, okay? Again, I'm not going deep into this Googling.
Right.
But I asked what percentage of podcast listeners actually listen to the whole episode, because I didn't want to give the number and then just see the answer returned to me.
Good question.
But it's still listening to me, so it knows exactly what I'm asking before I finish typing.
Yeah.
According to recent data, around 68% of podcast listeners tend to listen to the entire episode. Even higher listener counts as much as 93% for a single episode.
So I'll guarantee you he took both of those numbers, because all he did is do a Google search and just put the average at 80. But still, it's higher than you would think,
that means
69% is really high.
Well, no, 69%. 69 is a really low temperature in this room.
No, it's the perfect temperature, actually.
But that's, 80%.
You're not shivering yet.
So we've only lost 1 in 5 people to our rambunctious...
rambling?
Yes.
Of nothingness?
Yeah.
This is
thanks 4 out of 5. Oh my gosh, that's like the dentist.
Yeah,
my gosh.
Thanks 4 out of 5 people for still being around.
Thank you. I want to know.
This is $80,000 a year in insight, though. They should be listening, for crying out loud. If they don't,
this episode alone, but that's not even talking. You and I travel a lot. We go to way more than just those two.
I know. It's true. So anyway, we won't Google this, but anyway, a lot of the U.S. listens to podcasts.
I'm debating that 47% because I don't know anyone under the age of 20 that listens to podcasts.
I do.
Okay.
Well, they're all around 20, but
okay.
Yeah. But they're also my kids.
Okay, so. Well, that doesn't count. That's more. Look, my family.
True.
No one in my family listens to this podcast or any podcast.
All right, we'll have to fact check that. But anyway, the idea was podcasts, like we know, like there's a reason why we have over 650 episodes because it's actually worthwhile. It's not just because we do this for our health. Although we do it for our health.
I really do enjoy spending time with you.
Well, like, especially like now, you know, just like when we're actually physically together instead of just virtual.
Yeah, because I get to shove balls down your throat and watch you wipe the white cream off your mouth and mustache.
Yeah, it was good. Those are great octopus balls. You keep going back to that. It's fairly interesting. All right, so here's was his other. He actually had a bunch of things that I know he's never implemented, but they were really good insights.
So he probably had his team implement because he's not in a place where he's implementing.
Well, we didn't do this. He said, don't go on the same industry podcasts.
Okay,
so we
no
have
marketing.
done this. We have like Marketing School, Marketing Against the Grain. There's like a ton of podcasts that we've been on that are marketing related. That's fine. But one of the things that was a writer downer for me is I need to go on industry podcasts where we do our best work.
Okay.
So
healthcare podcasts.
Like legal
coaching podcasts.
Franchising podcasts.
Yep.
Like you name it. Like, I mean, obviously there's like digital products podcasts and e-commerce podcasts.
Yeah, I was like, don't those fall into the marketing
They do a
space?
little bit. So you've got to, anyway, but one of my writer downers here was for my admin to create a list of business podcasts that we want to get on.
Oh.
This is something that you and I are going to be talking about.
I already have that list.
Yeah.
But I want to see what she writes.
She comes up with. So I thought that was actually really cool.
What's really funny is, side note on this, and like for those that are listening, maybe there's like, if one person wants this list took a lot of time for me to create, but I created 20 podcasts for every vertical. So I went health and wellness. I went to all these different things. So I wanted to look at what are the top. Was this your
homework assignment from our last like Junkhead Media?
It was like right before our first Junkhead Media. I put together this like master list of top publications that I thought would be relevant per vertical.
Okay.
And so if someone is really, really nice and is either in the Telegram group or leave an amazing review, I will share it with one person. But this list took like a week to build. And if you share it with someone else, I will be disappointed. I'm not your mother. I won't hold your hand. But we created this massive publication list for different industry verticals. And so if that's another component, like I love that. I mean, it's so true because when you're talking to other marketing podcasts, you're talking about the same thing and the audiences overlap and you're not going to get new.
I mean, I have gotten a fair amount of business from those other podcasts, believe it or not. Just because it's a credibility booster and plus they were marketing podcasts where they were not agency owners.
Okay.
So they were like CMOs, CEOs, that kind of thing, doing marketing podcasts.
Yeah.
So it has been beneficial. I won't completely discount it. But I do think that he was onto something there. He's now starting his own business again. Like
I was like, how many does he have? Oh,
yeah,
Burrito.
Yeah, which he would have gotten a free plug if he had actually come on the show. But forget him. Anyway, no, Qasim, we love you, buddy.
We love
come
you.
on anytime. So anyway, so that I thought was super interesting. And then when you're on other shows, like I was on Rudy Mauer's show, which has not aired as of yet. And then I asked him at the end of the show, I was like, do you know of anybody else who I might be a good guest on their show?
Oh, good question.
Which is a great question.
Yeah.
So that is a writer downer. I wrote it down. I didn't ask it quite in the same way, but what other podcasts have people like me been on that you know of?
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Do you want to know a secret? So, Molly Pittman, obviously, has been a co-host. I was listening to the show when she was the co-host. I have always admired what she does with Facebook.
Yeah.
3 years ago, I Googled... No, hold on. Feels like 3 years ago. I think I started this 3 years ago, and then I won a Wicked Smart Award for this. And I think I might have talked about it on an episode here. But I just Googled Molly Pittman podcast, and then I built my dream list of podcasts I'd like to be on. So I just Googled her name, podcasts. Mm-hmm. So when you're asking what other podcasts have you been on? So say there's Rudy Mauer podcast. And then I hit that list. I went based off of Google because I know those podcasts that showed up higher in ranking had more domain authority, had more established presences online.
They'll accept
so that was my
such as
hit list. Right. And I did that with Qasim. So when I did... That's the award that I won was I did it for Qasim again. Yeah. So Qasim Muslim Podcasts. And then I have a recording when Qasim was a coach of mine when I was a subscriber to Digital Marketer, where he's
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, Lauren, that was the most brilliant thing I've ever done. And my pitch to podcasts he had already been on is, my friend Qasim was recently on your episode, and I learned about your show because of the episode he was on. It was amazing. I listened to 2 other ones. If you're looking for additional guests,
Gold.
here's my pitch.
Yeah.
I didn't get 1 rejection.
Yeah. That's really good. That's killer.
But it
right
started
there.
with me just being like obsessed with Molly and how successful she's been with Facebook ads and everything that she was doing.
Yeah. No,
And then I
that's
stole it to Qasim to make fun of him at Digital Marketer, so I won an award from it.
that's right. You won the award and you made fun of him.
My
publicly.
favorite thing
So,
to do.
Public humiliation is very, very satisfying.
He's like the brother that looks nothing like me.
That's right. He is the Palestinian brother you've never had. So speaking of him, one of the things that he did actually do, he showed a result of this.
Uh-huh.
So it wasn't him just like hypothesizing or theorizing. 'Cause
Okay.
there is that.
Well,
part
we're
of
marketers.
who he is. Right. He actually did this thing called SEO jacking. We've talked about this before, newsjacking.
Uh-huh.
We've done it a couple of times here on the show, which we need to get back to a bit. But anyway, Ryan Reynolds does this amazingly well. Just newsjacking. Google the book, find it on Amazon. It's great. He picks a celebrity YouTube title and then creates a podcast or YouTube episode opposite of that topic. So, for example, the example he used is Tim Ferriss did an interview with Athena, and it's a recruiting
Yeah, I
organization,
know that
which
tool.
I'm not familiar with them. I know Athena Healthcare, but anyway.
Yeah.
So-
you get assistance. It's virtual assistants.
Yeah, okay. So, all right. I am familiar with them. So, anyway, so he did a show.
Mm-hmm.
He did his own show and a YouTube video talking about like why Tim Ferriss's Athena is like he took the opposite stance.
Okay.
And he used it in the title. And then if you go ahead and Google it, Tim Ferriss Athena, you see Tim Ferriss, and then as long as this was not a photoshopped image, because I haven't double checked it, we're going to do it right now. We'll fact check as we're doing the show. Qasim's YouTube video ranked just below Tim Ferriss.
I mean, it makes so much sense because
It makes a lot of sense.
the content-wise is you're allowing someone the chance to see 2 sides of the same coin. It's like, why are 1-star reviews on Amazon so pertinent to the success of a sale? Because people need to know their tolerance for bad quality.
Yeah.
So
is it true?
I'm looking at Tim Ferriss.
Oh, my
Hold on,
God.
let's look more videos.
Oh, he totally photoshopped it.
Maybe, or it could just be depending like when it first came out.
When it first
And also,
came out,
I'm not on YouTube. Let me open up YouTube and not just go from Chrome.
Okay.
But those are always changing. But it makes sense why it would pop right away, especially for the timeliness. And then I would wonder if that burst of visibility right out the gate, other people started watching. We're like, wait, this is not what I wanted.
Yeah. Either way, it's all right. So you're on the YouTube app. So the idea is you have a big celebrity with a big popular podcast, and they take a stand like something in your industry, create a show around that, and then insert that celebrity's name into the title. And even though Qasim doesn't show up on our real life thing, it was actually a brilliant idea. So I'm sure
so good.
Yeah, it might have been like the week after. It might have been because it was fresh content.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Because even like when I'm looking up Tim Ferriss Athena, like everything that's showing up is not that.
Yeah, that wasn't the exact phrase. It was
Okay.
like Athena, and then it was something. I didn't write it down, but
I'll try
anyway,
Athena
it was a
recruiting.
really good idea. It's like ranking for Tim Ferriss and another word is a pretty hard thing to do. So, but find something or a podcast in your niche, and then do something just slightly opposite. We might start doing that here.
I mean,
We'll give it a shot.
but there's also like value in when you get to hear someone's opinion and then why there's another side of that same point. So one thing that I have problems with when I go to conferences or when I have the chance to hear someone speak is you don't have the full story.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times, like with meta ads, someone's like, oh, meta ads aren't working for me. I'm like, well, how much did you spend? What was that time period? Show me the creatives. Like people are showcasing only a small percentage because it fits the narrative of what their talk is.
Of course.
And so
It's
when
the
you can
glamour
bring
screenshot.
in, you can bring in an outside perspective and be like, well, hey, hold on. Let's shed a little bit more color, and this is the lens of which I'm looking at it from. Then you're just enhancing the value. Because otherwise, you're just receiving this information, trusting and assuming that there's no outside context. And if you trust and assume there's no outside context, you arrive in a political environment like the U.S. right now.
Yes, you do. It becomes an echo chamber, doesn't it? Well, this hopefully is not an echo chamber. And I thought this
And 4 out of 5 are still listening.
4 out of 5 are still listening, although this is one of our longer episodes, so you never know. We'll
Sorry, I'm just so happy to see Ralph in person.
Here we are, together again. That's right.
Look, Ralph, Lauren.
Look.
We're your favorite polo.
Look, I'm poking her cheek now. All right, so wherever you listen to podcasts, we really appreciate all the comments and ratings and reviews you guys have done recently.
Yeah. Thank
All
you.
right, the YouTube channel is blowing up too. That's over at perpetualtraffic.com/YouTube. Definitely check that out. And we'll leave some links in the show notes. We mentioned a lot of stuff here.
Yeah, this was a long one. But I want to say, like, to the people that are on YouTube, like, I've seen some of the comments of people watching some of these episodes. And even on LinkedIn, I've started seeing some people that are applying a lot of what they're getting from the show. And I can't tell you how much that warms my heart. Like, really, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a sucker for attention and I love compliments. But when someone's taking action or they're signaling the specific learnings that they're getting out of it, it's a ego bump of joy and love. And, like, I love doing this with you, but if this gives you any value, I appreciate you.
Yeah, and let us know.
More.
Like, I think one of the best places if you want to get some sort of notoriety, and this just happened like today, there was a listener that mentioned something on one of the John Moran episodes, which you were on, and he went out and he tried it, and he's like, oh my God, it's actually working.
Yeah.
And he added us on LinkedIn. Okay. Like, I respond to everything on LinkedIn.
For sure. And
not direct messages, by the way.
Blew up. There was like hundreds of comments.
Because he tagged me, Lauren, John Moran.
The podcast. His
the podcast,
client that he worked for.
Like, he did a great job, and I'm forgetting.
I was like, Rich did this.
Hang on, Kevin.
Rich Barker did the same thing. But, shoot. Because I
just responded today. Kevin, hang on.
Don't be mean to us, Kevin.
Kevin.
Wait.
It was...
Adrian Decker.
No.
Yes. Watch. Wait, no, that's not.
No. It was... I have it right here. Hang on, Kev. Got to give this guy a shout
I think it is Adrian Decker. Yeah. Adrian Decker.
I don't know.
Adrian Decker with 500.
Archer McClellan.
Oh, well, look, there's yet another one. Mentions me. Wait, I already replied?
Yeah.
But okay, so Kevin, sorry about that. This is like multiple examples. So this guy, Arthur McKellen, but also Arthur.
Okay.
McKellen.
All right, Kevin, sorry, here it is.
So
what were we saying?
This like literally just happened. Like you and I both thought of 2 different individuals, 2 different listeners that did this on YouTube, and they've been really they tagged both of us, and we're active on LinkedIn. And you have the one you thought of as someone different than who I immediately thought of.
We had 2 people who listened to something different
in the
shows
last week.
In the last week, tagged you and me, and then thanked us because whatever we had talked about on that show. In this case, it was Archer McClellan. I always butcher his name, but anyway, I think I got it right.
Archer McClellan.
Anyway, so he mentions both of us, ats us. Like, I get a notification. Like, if you want to connect, don't message us, please. But mention us in comments. You'll get so much more. And the one that you did here.
Adrian Decker. Like, he just talks about how he implemented what he took away from an episode, and he shows the impact. And look, in a few days, he's got 570 comments.
Really?
To which he's tagged the podcast, you, John, and myself, and talking about the implementation. So, sorry, giving those 2 individuals a shout out. Like, if you are listening and you find any value from it, like, yay. So, shout out to the 4 out of 5 of you.
Holy crap. Yeah. I get a lot of notifications on LinkedIn. I don't know about you. But anyway, I see the one on Adrian. I'm like, there's how many comments here?
570. But what's great is, so he gets to say, hey, I learned this tool from this episode. I applied it for this client, and it's working. Would you like me to apply this for your business. So that goes into that same SEO jacking. I'm not saying celebrity jacking like Cotson would always describe like nerd famous in that kind of sense.
Yeah.
But in that, like having that additional visibility, showcasing credibility of where he learned it, so that if those do believe that this podcast provides value for how to grow and scale your business, he's showing, this is my receipts. Here's the example of how I implemented it.
Yep.
And I can do this for your business as well. And that is just so much massive visibility. Like, shout out to both of those and those that continue to do it. I'm like on a bus of just being really grateful for hearing that it's helpful, because you and I are having this conversation and I love doing this with you. But when a listener actually gets out of it, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. This is pretty cool. So I just replied to Adrian. So congratulations for both those guys. But seriously, like that's the stuff that keeps us going, and we'll continue to produce all this and everything, all the things that we did here to like. If you do like just one or two, like you will have an impact. Like there's things in this show today that I'm implementing in my business, and I had to pay a lot of money to get that information.
Yeah.
You're getting it for free, so
an hour of their time.
Yeah, 4 out of 5 are still listening.
Yeah.
So. But anyway, yeah, so tagging us on LinkedIn is a great way to get, like, it's self-serving from that person's point of view, like that just went viral, but it also gives us a tremendous amount of pride and thankfulness to have you guys listening to the show and then actually doing stuff.
If you take the action.
Like, that's the key thing.
Yeah. But if there's something that you found and it didn't work, or there's something you found that like you
tell
didn't like, tell us that message that. I was like,
yeah. We're not all about we're not going to filter through just the good stuff. We used to read our bad reviews on air.
Oh, my friend Lori sent me a text because she didn't know that I had become the new co-host. She's like, I was just listening to this podcast and I heard someone talk about running through the airport. I'm like, get to the meaty stuff. Oh wait, that's Lauren. So I was like, oh shoot, okay, I need to tone back my non-work stuff. So you
need to let your friends know that you're on a podcast. It's pretty pathetic. They should all be listening.
I was just with her in London.
My mother listens to this podcast. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about, but she listens. She's definitely the 1 out of 5 who has not lasted through the hour. So anyway, we appreciate all the comments, all the implementation that y'all are doing. Right.
And your success out of it, because the reason we share this isn't just to be like, hey, look, this works for us. But if you get success, your win is our win.
Totally.
Because we know that even if you publicly acknowledge it or secretly acknowledge it, that's like positivity credits into the compounding growth of where we all want to be in life. And so the goal is, if you're spending an hour of your time, we hope you're getting value out of it. And when you're implementing and getting value,
100%.
like the best reason ever to still have fun doing this. Like, I mean, I would still do it because I love hanging out with you, but anyway, sorry. I'm belaboring that subject. Just love you guys.
Same. Love you all. All right. Until next, wait a second. I'm botching the end. So, all of that being said, on behalf of my awesome co-host, Lauren E. Petrullo.
Ciao.
Ciao. Till next show, see ya.